French President Emmanuel Macron has said France will form a joint panel with the Palestinian Authority to draw up a new constitution for Palestine. His announcement came after meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Paris.
Ce comité sera chargé de travailler sur tous les aspects juridiques, constitutionnels, institutionnels et organisationnels. Il contribuera au travail d'élaboration d'une nouvelle constitution dont le président Abbas m'a présenté un projet et visera à parachever l'ensemble des conditions d'un tel État de Palestine.
France has recently joined a raft of countries in recognizing Palestinian statehood. The meeting between Macron and Abbas comes amid a fragile U.S.-brokered truce between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Abbas has headed the Palestinian Authority for 20 years, a body which has limited control over parts of the occupied West Bank. The authority is being considered to take over the governance of Gaza as part of the ceasefire deal.
Romanian authorities found drone fragments in the southeastern region of Tulcea on Tuesday, following overnight Russian strikes that mainly targeted infrastructure around Ukraine's Izmail port on the Danube River, according to authorities. During the attacks, Romanian radars detected several groups of drones near national airspace. RO alert warnings were issued to residents and anti-aircraft defense systems were activated.
Autoritățile au și fost informate despre impactul cu solul al unui obiect zburător fără pilot. S-au deplasat în zona Grindu, acolo unde a căzut acel obiect, și echipe de la Inspectoratul pentru Situații de Urgență din Tulcea, însă pentru că nu a existat și un incendiu, echipele s-au retras.
Echipajele din Serviciul de Poliție Aeriană și Serviciul de Poliție Aeriană extinsă nu au putut să se ridice de la sol datorită vremii. În schimb, echipajele de la sol au intervenit corespunzător. Peste tot în lume, în toate armatele din lume, se întâmplă așa ceva. Cel mai probabil, Federația Rusă va continua cu aceste acțiuni.
În acest moment vedem că nu există o armă minune. Și ceea ce contează cu adevărat, sau unde trebuie să ne uităm, este la complementaritate, la modalitatea în care putem utiliza categorii de armament, de tehnică militară, care să influențeze și să acopere acolo locurile, gapurile, unde alte categorii nu funcționează cum trebuie.
Au fost atacuri rusești aseară, domnule președinte. Din informațiile pe care le avem, o dronă s-a fi prăbușit pe teritoriul României.
Accidental. S-a mai întâmplat asta.
Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, 55 attacks near Romania's borders have been registered, according to Romanian Ministry of Defense data. In 39 of these incidents, fragments of drones fell on Romanian territory in the Danube Delta area. In 10 cases, Russian drones entered Romania's airspace. Since this summer, Romania has introduced a law allowing its forces to shoot down drones. The Romanian army can now take control of a drone that accidentally enters its airspace, jam its communications, and, if necessary, destroy it using anti-aircraft systems.
It has been over 2 years since the European Union imposed punitive measures on Kosovo in response to unresolved tensions with Serbia. The EU has previously said it would gradually lift the measures, but has made little to no progress. But what impact do these measures now actually have?
Na terenu to nije toliko primetno, mnogi projekti su nastavili znači da se implementiraju, nije to tako bilo strogo recimo kao kada Sjedinjene Američke Države nešto ukinu i onda se to bukvalno osjeti na svim nivoima društva. Ovde sa Evropskom unijom nije to bilo toliko osetno i mislim da su te mere bile više neki način opomene Kosovu nego što Kosovo zaista, da kažem, pati od mera koje su uvedene.
The measures have not ruled out cooperation between Kosovo and the European Union, with meetings taking place between officials in Pristina, in Brussels, and at various forums and summits across Europe. Regardless of this, Kosovo's government has repeatedly called on the EU to lift its punitive measures.
Countries who are at a 100% alignment with the EU must be rewarded, not those who have chosen Moscow as their path forward.
Në takimet që kemi pasur, kemi kërkuar që Republikës së Kosovës të hiqen masat ndëshkuese të padrejta, të jepet statusi vendit kandidat dhe sa më parë të na dërgohet pyetësori.
In order to lift the measures, Brussels has requested that Pristina must change its policy towards the Serbian community and implement all agreements with Belgrade.
The next steps remain conditional on sustained de-escalation in the north. The Commission intends to further lift these measures, provided an orderly transfer of local governance in the north when it's achieved and following the local elections, and de-escalation should be sustained.
In December last year, the EU Council stated that it would gradually lift the measures. However, the process has been slow and, as stated at the time, conditional on further steps by Kosovo. COP30 has kicked off in Brazil and promises to make history with the largest indigenous participation ever recorded. Around 3,000 representatives of indigenous communities are expected in Belém over the next 2 weeks, a record number for a UN summit. 1,000 indigenous peoples will participate directly in the official negotiations in the so-called Blue Zone. The remaining 2,000 will gather in the Green Zone, a space dedicated to civil society and where debates and activities open to the public take place. In an exclusive interview with Euronews, the Brazilian Minister for Indigenous Peoples, Sonia Guajajara, advocated for the inclusion of indigenous communities in decision-making processes and international forums.
E, ministra, por que é tão importante a participação indígena num evento como a COP?
Comprovadamente, os territórios indígenas, os povos indígenas, são os que mais preservam a biodiversidade, as florestas, e que têm essa contribuição muito significativa para o equilíbrio do clima a partir da floresta em pé, a partir do seu próprio modo de vida. Então, não tem como se pensar soluções sem considerar os que estão protegendo, os que estão já sendo impactados diretamente pela crise climática.
The Brazilian government has developed a range of initiatives to strengthen indigenous representation in Belém. In the Green Zone, the People's Circle was created to value ancestral knowledge and promote dialogue between communities. Meanwhile, the COP village serves as accommodation and a meeting point for indigenous delegations. Currently, indigenous lands cover almost 14% of Brazil's territory, but account for just over 1% of the country's deforestation. Experts argue that the demarcation of these areas is one of the most effective ways to combat climate change. They also project a great deal of influence from indigenous peoples during the summit.
Os negociadores vão estar participando de eventos na cidade e vão ver os movimentos sociais acontecendo. Vão ver as passeatas e as exigências das comunidades indígenas para poderem ter os seus direitos respeitados. E esses movimentos da sociedade civil, do setor privado, mais uma vez, ajudam a contaminar positivamente as negociações de maneira que elas aconteçam segundo o que também a sociedade espera desses negociadores.
COP30 began this Monday and runs until November 21st.
Young Belgian farmer Matteo Godfrio hopes one day to take over the family farm. This mixed crop livestock operation, boasting around 40 dairy cows, is located in Dion-le-Mont, not far from Brussels. The 23-year-old plans to be a helper for 2 years, a status that allows him to train in the field and maximize his chances of accessing financial aid necessary to take over the management of the business.
Les terres en Belgique sont hors de prix. Et quand vous avez 23 ans que vous voulez reprendre une ferme, je pense pas que la banque soit d'accord de vous laisser un prêt d'1 million, 1,5 million, si pas plus, pour reprendre une ferme, quoi. Qui est en soi pas réellement rentable.
Across the European Union, only 12% of farmers are under the age of 40. The average age is 57, and that aging population of farmers presents a risk for food security, the European Commission has warned. Last month, the Commission presented a strategy to support generational renewal in agriculture. It proposes to include in the next common agricultural policy a startup pack of up to €300,000 to help young farmers get started. Other measures include the opening of the Erasmus program for young entrepreneurs to farmers and the creation of a European Land Observatory to promote access to land. The objective, to double the proportion of young farmers in the EU by 2040. For Matteo, the best way to encourage young people to start or stay in agriculture is to ensure fair prices.
On revient au même, les prix. Le débat sera clos, on sera payé comme il faut, ça va remotiver les gens. C'est parce que nous, on est tout le temps dedans et qu'on est passionnés, mais produire un lait à 40 centimes alors qu'il nous en coûte 50, on va motiver quelqu'un pour le faire, quoi. Produire de la viande à bas prix parce qu'on ne veut pas nous payer, avec un emprunt à 1 million sur nos têtes, va trouver quelqu'un qui va être motivé à faire ça.
Matteo stressed that consumers have an important role to play by buying local products.